This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 511 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is brought to you by FeedXL, online nutrition software. Hi, Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is from Dr. Wendy Ying. Dr. Ying is co-host of the Driving Radio Show here on Horse Radio Network, as well as one of the few female four-in-hand competition drivers in the world. Plus, she is a veterinarian that also practices traditional Chinese medicine. Today's tip is the sixth in a 7-part series about the 5 elements of Chinese medicine, and today's element is water. But first, a word about today's sponsor, FeedXL. When you go to feedxl.com, you can get all of the nutritional information you need to make sure your horse has a healthy, balanced diet. Just log on and tell FeedXL about your horse. Everything from age and activity level to nutrition-related diseases or conditions. Then, tell FeedXL about your horse's complete diet, and I mean complete. Entering Sweet Feed 12% protein just won't cut it at FeedXL. You can enter the brand, formula, and quantity of exactly what your horse is eating, and then see the results. FeedXL does all the math, all the nutritional science, and gives you an accurate picture of what your horse is really eating, whether his nutritional needs are being met or exceeded. And as if that wasn't enough, FeedXL has forums where you can interact with other FeedXL members, fantastic mini articles about horse nutrition that are quick and fun to read, and a cost calculator where you can figure out just how much that nutrition is costing you. And who doesn't want to know that? Go to feedxl.com today and discover for yourself why smart horse folks from all over use it to be absolutely sure they're feeding their horses exactly what they need in the most cost-effective way possible. And we've got a newsflash. FeedXL.com has been awarded Best Software Product Servicing the Agricultural Industry by the Australian Business Awards. Congratulations, FeedXL.com, and enjoy today's tip.
And now it's time to, people are dying. They're waiting. We have had people post on our Facebook page. I don't know if you got to answer that one, but you probably should, or maybe we'll answer it right now. We're going to be going into Dr. Ying's Chinese medicine update, and we're finishing the 5 elements of traditional Chinese medicine. And Dawn had a question for you, and we'll get to that after you do the last element. Remind me to do Dawn's question.
Okay, I'll remind you.
But the last one is water.
Like I'm going to remember that.
Last but not least is water, right?
Yes, last but not least is water.
The only thing I don't like about water already is that I'm a fire, and water puts out fire, and that's bad.
That's true. You're jumping way ahead of us. So that's next week, because next week I'm going to talk about how all the elements relate to each other.
Okay.
But you know what?
I don't want to hang around water because it's bad.
No, but if you didn't have any water, then your fire would burn out of control.
Oh, okay.
You see, so it balances. You don't want to be a crazy forest fire. You want to be a nice, warm campfire.
I think it does anyway. Jennifer would say my fire burns out of control all the time.
Okay, well, maybe we need to find you a friend that's a water.
All right, you're up.
Okay, so the water element. One of the best ways to imagine the traits of the water is to imagine the Grand Canyon, because the Grand Canyon was built by water. So waters are planners. They stick to their plan. So the water over time the water is soft, but over time it's very strong and can wear down the rock. So the water plans their strategy and then puts everything in motion and then can get to the results.
So they're kind of like the mule, slow and methodical.
Right. Slow and methodical. And then and one of the things I guess I maybe didn't say in the beginning was that a lot of times we are all of these different personalities, but you have one dominant part. And then the traits that I'm talking about, too, are when you get unbalanced, what can happen. So like an unbalanced water can be really fearful. Like for animals, unbalanced water is a horse that spooks and then runs in blind panic. You know, not just one that spooks and like, you know, goes off and like, oh, okay, that wasn't so scary. One that like goes and is just panicked or doesn't want to walk by that thing anymore. Or like a bolter.
Did you see the video of that eventer last or 2 weeks ago that came out where the horse bolted and actually jumped over a car?
No.
Yeah, the horse bolted at a jump, and actually the rider stayed on, and the rider and the horse jumped a car right over the top of the car.
Right.
Because he was just going.
Because he's so terrified.
Yep.
So that's when the water becomes unbalanced. But they're fearful anyways. Like they always are worrying about things that can go wrong. That's why they're good to plan ahead. Like Glenn, for example, you and I sometimes just blurt out things that we think, oh, wow, I really shouldn't have said that. Like a water person would never do that.
Right.
You know, they worry about what they're going to say. They think about it. They think about all the different things that could happen if they say this statement, and then they decide to say it or not.
Geez, if I did that, I'd never get a show done.
I know. But so in the people world, waters are politicians. And they're usually not like the figurehead politician. They're the one writing the speech for the politician.
Okay.
You know, the background guy. In animals, I actually treat a lot of water dogs because they can be fear biters, or they usually are the ones with the very bad thunderstorm anxiety or the separation anxiety.
Okay.
So, and a water horse, I think this is actually how you and I really got going on this 5 elements thing, is because Helena's horse is a water and she's a fire. So her horse is kind of fearful, and it takes a very confident person the water's looking for somebody to lead it and to protect it from, especially a horse, to protect it from predators. Like that's one that wants to stay in the herd. That one may say like, oh, I don't want to leave my buddies because I'm afraid I'm going to get eaten by the tiger.
And a fire, well, we'll talk more about that, how that all relates next week.
Yeah.
But you know, a fire is not necessarily good because we're just going, and we're not thinking about it either.
Yeah, because the water's like, what? I mean, the fire's like, I didn't even know there were tigers in here.
I didn't see any tigers. I was just going.
Whatever. If a tiger comes, I can run faster than you, so they'll get you, and I'll get away.
Well, now, Dawn says, thank you, Dr. Ying, for the information on the elements. So far, I'm fire, wood, and metal. How do you decide which element you're most like?
Oh, that's a great question. So like I said, we're all, especially it's hard to figure out what you are and to figure out what people close to you or your own animals are. So you have to take the dominant traits. And of course, like we all want to, you know, we all focus on something that may bother us about another person's personality or animal's personality. But basically, like for horses, the best way to tell is I usually ask the person where they are in the rank of the pasture. So like if they're the dominant ones in the herd, most likely they're a fire or wood. And if they don't mind being alone, you know, like sometimes they just go off on their own because there's better grass, or they want to be in the shade, or, you know, they want to come in. Ones that don't mind being apart from the herd are usually metals. And then ones that want to always be with the herd can be earths or waters, and they're usually a little bit lower down in the pack. So that's just a good general way to kind of figure out where your horse is. And like the water horse, like I said, has to be with the pack because he's afraid, whereas the earth horse is just there because he doesn't want to miss the party.
Yeah, and I think Dawn was actually doing it for herself. And
for herself.
Yeah, she said, so far, I am a fire, wood, and metal. And I think what's been interesting is you've been relating it back to the horses, yet the people on Facebook have been trying to figure out what they are. Yeah,
and it's good to figure out what you are to see how you can relate with your horse. So I guess for her as a person, like the best way to say this is...
So if she's off by herself eating grass, she's probably
eating grass.
A metal.
No, but like a wood person, like gets kind of crabby, you know, like like sometimes people aggravate me, because I have a lot of wood traits. I'm like super impatient.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I mean, because you're much nicer than me. Like, you're more fire. I'm like crabby, impatient.
And I think you answered this earlier, too, for Dawn, when you said you have to figure out which one you're the most. You're going to have a little bit of everything.
Right.
Everybody has a little bit of everything, because at times you can be a little bit of every one of those.
Yeah, you can be a little bit of, and if you're only metal, if you were only metal, you'd be like a crazy OCD person and have to wash your hands every 5 minutes and you couldn't leave the house.
You'd be like that guy on that show on TV.
Monk. You'd be Monk.
You'd be Monk, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and Monk is a metal.
But there are dominant traits that you are, and probably, the interesting part is, Dawn, if you're married, your husband would be able to tell you better than you.
Yeah.
Because he's going to look at it from a completely different point of view. It was interesting. I had Jennifer listen. We listened last week to last week's show, and remember, you described Jennifer last week, my wife. And and I told her, I said, you better listen to this. This is you. This is just so you. It's unbelievable. And remember, we talked about her.
Yeah, don't get me in trouble with the boss.
And she was like, yeah, it is. That's really me. It's like you wrote it for her.
But see, Jennifer has a lot of metal qualities, but she has other. Like, she has some fire in there because she likes to do the acting.
Yep.
And she has a lot of leadership qualities. I mean, you're a mix of everything, but like her metal qualities is what helps us stay organized. We need her.
Right. That's correct. Well, this has been great. Now, next week, we're going to talk about how they all relate to each other and which ones get along and which ones don't.
Right.
Okay.
And you need all of them to live a balanced life. I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't matter which one you are because we're all a little bit of all of them. So it's good to know this. So, if you get out of balance, what you can do to get back into balance and live a balanced, happy life.
All right. We're going to talk about that next week.
So there you go. So in the next installment, will I find out if I'm metal with a little bit of water tossed in? Does that make me rust? Well, if you want to listen to more of Wendy's tips, just go to horsetipdaily.com and go to the experts drop-down menu on the left. All of our experts are right there, alphabetized and easy to find. And Glenn the Geek is there as well. You can also go to www.sportcobb.com and see what Wendy's up to on her website. Please stop by the Horse Tip Daily Facebook page and let us know what you think of the tips you hear on the show. It's also a great place to tell us about topics you'd like to hear us cover. You can subscribe to all of the great shows on the Horse Radio Network through iTunes or Zune and get your horse podcasts automatically downloaded to your iPod, Zune, or MP3 player. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, go ride your horse! The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.